One of the things we say all the time in the Academy is if you ask a better question, you'll get a better answer. Today, we're going to attempt to unpack that a little bit about why that's the case and why it's so important for new students to learn how to ask a good question. If a student comes to me and they say, hey, do you have any advice at all? Like, I'm just not very good at jiu-jitsu. I'm like, yeah, man, just keep coming to class. And I can tell sometimes they look at me like they thought I was going to say something a little more profound than that. Well, the reality is the level to which they asked a very surface level question, unfortunately, that's about the depth of knowledge that I can give them back. So what we tell students is, if you ask a better question, we'll give you a better answer. And there's two sides to this coin, which it's important to understand. One is if you delve down into the depth of asking a specific question about a certain situation, then you're more likely for that to land. I would say option A, person says, I'm not very good at jiu-jitsu. And I'll say, okay, well, there's nothing I can do with that. So what do you mean by you're not very good at jiu-jitsu? And they say, I lose all the time. And I'll say, okay, well, define losing. And they say, well, I get submitted every single time I roll. And I'll say, okay, well, is there a common thread here? Or you ended up in the same position? Yes. What's happened? The person's mounting me. Okay. So how are you getting submitted? Well, a lot of different ways. Okay, well, what's the way that you're getting submitted like the most consistently? And they'll say arm locked. And I'll say, okay, so I can tell you what you need to do. When someone's mounted on top of you, you need your elbows roughly in line vertically with your spine. You need your fingers like this, approximately at about your chin, right? This is kind of the position you need to be in when they're mounted. By doing that and keeping your elbows in that position, they don't have access to your arm. They can't slide underneath. They can't get your arm. That's option A. We went through that thing. They basically asked me a very surface level question. I had to ask multiple follow-up questions, right, in order to get to the end where I could give them some advice. The second option is somebody says, hey, I got a question for you. And I'll say, sure, what's up? And they'll go, well, man, I don't know if I'm any good at this or not because I seem to lose all the time. But I've started to notice that I lose from the bottom less than I lose from the top. And when the person's on top of me, the position I lose the most is the mount. And I've also noticed that of all the ways that I lose from the mount, the majority of the time I'm losing by arm lock, right? And then I've thought about it a little bit deeper, and I understand for it to be happening this consistently, there's got to be something that I'm doing with my arms that I'm not consciously aware of that's causing this problem to be consistent and recreatable, right? It's recreated. It's happening over and over and over. So can you tell me where my arm should be? And I say, sure, man. Your elbow should be at your side, vertically aligned with your spine. Your hand should be like this, fingertips on your chin. This your approximate position right here. Because if your elbows are in line with your spine, if your arms are in line with your spine and your elbows are in front of their knees, they can't slide under your arm and have access to arm lock you. Now that's option B. Of option A and B, right? If you had to guess, who would you think, the person who asked the surface level question and I had to help them drill deeper, or person B who had actually done all that thought exercise and process on their own, and they had worked to the point where they just got to the end and they weren't sure where their arms needed to be? Who is the exact same answer, the exact same wisdom, the exact same knowledge? Who is it going to help more? I tend to think it's going to help person B. I'm reminded of Carl Jung's beware of wisdom you didn't earn quote, right? Person A didn't really earn the wisdom, right? They sat there and asked a question, very surface level. They kind of had to have me help them drill down into the process a little bit. And it's okay. If it's your first couple times asking questions, it's okay. We understand. But person B, right? That person did the work, figured out the commonalities. They got to a point, and they might have gotten it wrong in the middle. This particular example, they didn't, but they might have gotten it wrong in the middle. But even then, they did the work. So I could have stopped them in the middle and said, no, that's not what's happening. I'll tell you what's happening. But they did the work to get all the way to the end. And after doing all that work, right, mining all that gold, they found a little piece of gold, right? And I think that person's going to be more capable of using that to help them make them better at jiu-jitsu. So in everything we do in jiu-jitsu, right, if we ask a better question, right, we're going to get a better answer. Guys, thanks for watching. If you like our content, like and subscribe, and we look forward to bringing more to you.